Good evening and welcome to the Job Search Solution, the radio program where we talk about looking for a job, changing jobs, changing careers, hiring. And as always, we begin with a prayer. Dear God, grant us thy peace and thy mercy, thy will be done. And in just a few minutes, Rich Levinsky is going to be with us talking about consultants in the workplace. He's got a real interesting topic this evening. He always does. He makes everything very interesting. He's in the trenches every day, talking about consulting and the life of the consulting business. Lately, we've been taking 10 seconds every evening in the first portion of the program to be grateful. So 10 seconds of gratitude. Think of 3 things today that you're grateful for. This evening that you were grateful for today, go. It's hard to be disappointed or upset or unhappy when you're grateful. Being grateful, we overlook it. In the first portion of every Wednesday evening, I discuss something that's come up in the workplace that in our profession or my practice of recruiting, that is a lesson to everyone. This comes via a candidate of mine by the name of Jay. 2 years ago, Jay was looking for a job, and I didn't find him one, but he ran one by me that he said an outfit called him and offered him $100,000 more than he was making, and described the job to me. And it was 2.5 years ago. We were in the middle of that great area, great time where things were just booming right after the pandemic. And I said, Jay, now, I don't know that you're worth the money that they're going to pay you, that $100,000 more than what you were making. I'd really be leery of that. That's a little bit of a scary situation. Things aren't always what they seem to be. He said, no, I'm worth that. I'm going to take advantage of it. My gosh, that's just the way it's going to be. I'm worth every penny of it. Well, this week, Jay called and said that the company had overhired and had hired 5 people at the same way that they had hired him. They should have hired only 2, and they were running out of money, and they were going to cut back on his employment and the others that they had hired also. So Jay was looking for a job. He said that he wanted to find something where it was commensurate with what he was making before, and that he called me actually a week and a half ago and said that he was going to be looking for a job again, and that he wanted something exactly like he had gotten before. And that was that I said, well, Jay, that was an outlier kind of thing, and it's not something that necessarily this market's going to bear because it's tight. He said, well, there were 300,000 jobs in the market last month. And I said, Jay, wait a minute. Half of those were government job and the other half were part-time jobs. You can't go by that, and don't buy it. It's a tough market out there. He said, well, I'll get you my resume and we'll see what we can do. 3 or 4 days went by and Jay didn't get me his resume. He calls me up and says, what you got? I said, Jay, you got to give me your resume. He said, no, I got this job I got now when I didn't have a resume. They just called me off LinkedIn and hired me on the spot. I said, nah, Jay, it doesn't work that way anymore. It's a lot tougher than it was. I need a resume, and I need it to match, of course, your LinkedIn profile. And it's going to be hard work. 3 days later, Jay gets around to getting me a resume, and it's not a very good resume. I said, Jay, what's with this? You got to make it good. He said, it's good enough. I said, no, Jay, it's not good enough. The market has changed. This is going to be hard to do. He finally gets me one that's decent, and I get him an interview. And he said, Tony, that doesn't sound like something I'd really be interested in. That's no better than what I've got. I said, but what you got's going away, man. He said, yeah, but if I can't find something better, I'm not going to look at it. Last time I did this, it was something better, and it was quite a bit better. It was $100,000 more than what I was making. I said, Jay, the market isn't like it was 2.5 years ago. It's different. You got to take a look at everything you possibly can take a look at. He said, I'll do some research on it and I'll think about it. Calls me up 2, 3 days later. And he says, yeah, I think I'll take the interview. I said, Jay, they've already interviewed 4 people and they're down the line with two of them. And I don't know if I can get you the interview. Oh, well, I got him the interview just because I pushed real hard. He is good, but unfortunately, he went in the interview and he said, look, this is where I'm at. This is what I've done. This is how I've done it. He didn't tell him that the job was going away. And he said, and I expect something to be this good. And he started dictating what he expected. Well, the employer didn't like it. He already had 2 candidates that he liked. He didn't really need to have another one. He just did it because Jay is good. And I did recommend that Jay do well, that we would do well to interview Jay. So he had interviewed him. And I explained to Jay that he didn't do very well in the interview because he messed around with it and didn't perform well and didn't sell himself real well. So that's kind of where we're at. Jay's going to have to change his attitude, change his approach. He's actually a very good candidate, but things aren't like they were. They're never like they are, like they were. Things are never, they're always changing. You can never bank on today being like it was yesterday or the day before, or the year before. It was never that way. You got to go after these jobs just like they were the last ones on earth, and you got to perform extremely well. And you've got to act though as though it was the last job on earth, and you got to sell yourself as hard as you possibly can every single time. Next week, we'll talk about another candidate by the name of Chad who did it right and how he did it right. Stay tuned. This is Tony Bashir with the Job Search Solutions.